Hello, this is John Miller, the creator of The Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in the series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks. If you'd like to hear some travel-specific information about visiting Nepal, then please be sure to check out this week's current episode of Amateur Traveler. That's episode number 205. Host Chris Christensen and I talk about all things Himalayas and why I originally made my way to Nepal and Tibet for Everest, but keep returning due to my love of the local cultures and people that call the Everest region home. Thanks so much, Chris, for inviting me onto your show. It was a lot of fun, and all of you can check it out at amateurtraveler.com.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 116, Landing in Lukla.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest. I'm John Miller. I'm going to jump in with the second episode of Season 4, and I'm really excited to have, finally, Chris Marquardt is joining the show. Really missed you last week, Chris. Actually, Monica is joining us as well. They're both calling in from Germany. And
Hi, John.
Glad to have you here. Missed you last week. You were both in Brooklyn doing a photo workshop. So
yeah, and we missed you guys too.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you in, and probably have you guys in most every episode from here on forward as time permits. And joining them with me this week is Jeff Coe out in California. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well. It's good to hear from you guys again.
Glad to have you back. And similar lineup to last week. Moving forward, it's Steve Beatty up in Canada as well. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great, John. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Nice to have your audio quality a little bit better.
Yeah.
John Coleman's audio quality is better this week as well. How you doing, John, out in Ohio?
I'm doing great.
All right, guys.
Good to talk to everyone.
Nice to have you here, especially pleased because we're going to start off with some footage of a Hindu temple in the Kathmandu Valley that I was not with the group. I ended up having to run off to, had so many errands I had to get, so much business I had to take care of for the group that I had to run off, take a cab back to Mel, and so I'm really interested to see what everyone has to say about some of this footage. Some of it, I'm going to just let everyone know before we jump into the episode. There will be some deceased bodies, but they're all going to be wrapped up in cloth. You won't see really anyone dead, but we do deal with some cremation this episode, so nothing graphic at all. It's actually quite beautiful. So I'd say with that teaser, let's jump into the episode here, and let's head up to Pashupatinath, I believe is how it's pronounced, the Hindu temple in the Kathmandu Valley. Here we go. Alright, so this is actually us leaving the Swayambhudnath temple. That's Sunam and Megan. I like that photo, that's why I stuck it in there.
They look happy.
So this is the entrance gate at the Hindu temple.
That's, by the way, Pashupatinath.
Pashupatinath, yes, thank you.
Pashupatinath.
Oh, look, one of these hats.
Yep, that's a classic Nepali hat. Many men wear those
Steve Wolf
hats.
in the background.
So what are we looking at here, guys?
Well, that's I guess that's the cremation site. The smoke in there, I suppose, is from the cremation site. Yes, there you can see them. Yes.
And that's the Holy River.
And that's about as close as you get. That's as close as they let you get as a tourist. So you can watch all this from the other side of the river.
Yeah, I'd never been here before.
It's my understanding this river flows into the Ganges, and so for that reason it's considered sacred by the Hindu.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And even though there was not much of a river, to be honest, it was pretty shallow water. And,
yeah, it was more mud than anything else.
Yeah, but
I
it's
was
still
down there chasing some monkeys. Yeah, it's
still a holy river.
Most of these photos are courtesy of John Coleman. I took them from the Flickr feed, and then we come across all of these different holy men.
Oh yeah, there's lots of them there. They seem to live there.
For them, smoking hashish is a religious experience, I've read.
Oh, really?
There's one of the cremation sites there.
And these guys are pretty wild looking.
They
And
are.
this is the one with a golden watch, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see that a little bit later on. So
Yes, you had to pay to take their picture. Yeah. Pictures were not free on those guys.
can you guys tell me at all about what their whole deal is?
Well, I
love
understand
that
they
photo.
actually live in these stone huts. The more hardcore of the guys, I guess, they actually pretty much live there, and this is what they do all day. They smoke hashish and bilk tourists for rupees for money. So
Yeah,
they can take
even though
pictures.
we as a group, I think we just paid like a pretty low fee actually. I think it was
I think
about
1,000.
100 rupees per person, I
100?
think, per participant of the group.
There's Tilo and 3 cameras.
So were they just like right across the river from the cremation sites, or were they
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, they were.
I one thing that you'll actually find out in this series is that the conception of death and how you deal with it is much different in this part of the world than in the western part of the world, and it all seems very casual from these photographs.
It was almost celebratory at times. It almost seemed like they were kind of celebrating the passing from one life to another, is what it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean it's a circle for them. It's just up to the next round, basically.
Yeah, it truly is fascinating from my point of view. That it like you said, John, it's celebrating it's not the end of it's the end of one life, the beginning of the next one.
Yes.
And there's not the sense of mourning and loss, it seems, that we tend to feel here, where it's kind of permanent.
I found it amazing to see them. Like maybe we'll see a picture of that where they have the wrapped up bodies at the river and they do the ceremonies and they sit there and no one really. I didn't see anyone crying or anything. It was just more like the whole family there and saying goodbye in some way, or maybe just helping the soul into the next life. Something along those lines, probably.
Yeah, and they were just talking to each other. It was a place to meet people also, and this was quite a relaxing atmosphere, kind of. So it wasn't really sad there.
Yeah, and even though we could only see it from the other side, I think we got a fairly good impression just from there, which is kind of weird. I mean, these people stand on the other side, and they do. There we see a picture of a wrapped up body.
Right.
And they just do their thing, and they don't really mind others watching and being there. I think it's part of the culture.
Well, yeah, it looks like it's a very public thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
whereas with our culture, you kind of hide away the bodies and get them in the ground as soon as possible, and it seems to be different there.
The interesting thing about the holy men is that they are actually considered dead to their families. And they spend their whole life at the temple. They have many things they have to give up, apparently including relationships with the opposite sex. But they do get to smoke hashish. But that I looked that up on the Wikipedia, and then that was a very interesting commentary. That one of these fellows I thought looked Western. I don't think it's any of these three, but there was one of those fellows that distinctly looked Western. Did you get that impression also, Chris?
And
and
the man in
Monica?
red. The man in red.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
there's John Coleman. This is video that I shot later that day in Kathmandu as we were taking care of the last kind of errands and everything before heading off to
Andy.
Lukla the following morning. Yeah, Andy and Steve Wolf, and there's Megan. And this Tamil is just always so much fun just to kind of walk around and explore. But I had to drop off. Well, I had to place a large t-shirt order, and so I'm heading off to the embroiderer.
This is my guy.
Oh, hashish.
Hashish, tiger bomb. You get stuff offered everywhere though.
That's funny. All of you get the jokes now in the podcast about all the drug offerings. I do apologize for some of this quality of this video. This is one of my disposable HD video camera, and I do use it throughout the podcast. Hopefully, I get a little bit better. But I love visiting this embroidery shop because they just have so much stuff going on, and it was really interesting to see Obama's face there. It was so great.
Yeah.
I think they are actually pretty much at the height of the time all the time. They get all this information from around the world, what's popular, what might the tourists like, and they just come up with it. It's amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
And with as much respect as possible, I want to say, they rip everything off. There's absolutely no license fees being paid here. That's not what we're about here on the show, but I do really appreciate the skill of these guys, and I'm always fascinated to watch. I could just watch them embroider because they just do it pretty much by eye. It's just amazing. But I was waiting for the owner, Alam, to show up, who I hadn't seen in couple of years here, but I've ordered dozens and dozens of t-shirts over the previous 2 years. So they knew just who I was when I walked in, because I think I was wearing one of my t-shirts.
One of their t-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to meet Alam after our trek. Where I ordered a box of t-shirts.
How are you? Yeah, good. Yesterday I read the email. I haven't been able to check my email.
He's probably one of the most seldom smiling Nepali men I've ever met. He's very serious, but he's very nice.
I arrived last night.
I was telling him in emails that I wanted to buy him dinner because we've done all this work together over the past few years, and he emailed me back saying, "Oh, I should take you and your group out to dinner." And I don't think he realized I had all these people with me, but we ended up not being able to. There
we are at a different dinner.
Yep. So this is the team dinner. I really wanted everyone to have a sort of a traditional Nepali cultural dinner, something I've always really enjoyed from dating back to the first expedition trip. And so Babu, again, used to call him Karma, now calling him his real name Babu, because we actually have another Karma that will enter the show this week.
Fusion.
But this was a really great place, and it was just walking distance from Tamil, and I think everyone had a pretty good time. It's pretty wild, the difference in.
It's a bit on the, I'd say, touristy side. It's very, very, everything well organized, and the dancers and everything. But it was really enjoyable. I loved the meal.
That's me chatting up Babu and just telling him stories, I think, about Dawa, the cook from 2003. I was so looking forward to seeing Dawa in a couple of weeks as we made it to base camp. And so I'm telling him about Scott in the National Park Service. So that was all footage filmed by Chris with his 5D Mark II, which did very well in the low light conditions. This is Steve's little point and shoot camera, Steve Wolf's point and shoot camera, which I mix multiple formats in this season of the show.
I actually think, just having briefly looked over this video, you've done a tremendous job putting all these different sources together.
Oh, it takes me so much longer to edit these episodes than usual.
Well, you are not familiar with the footage, so I guess you have to go through everything because you have no way of knowing what's where.
I love the dancing, and it was. I enjoyed that evening. I think it was definitely worthwhile to be there. But then, of course, we walked there, and the skies just opened up right before we were heading out, and so people had to jump into all these different cabs, and Babu started making runs, picking. I think I was the last one to leave. Took about an hour to get out of there. I think maybe John, you and I were the last ones to leave.
Yeah, it was pretty late once we finally got back.
And then everyone had to spend the night kind of consolidating their gear, because flying to Lukla, which is, many of you have probably heard of Lukla. There's a very kind of gnarly mountain runway that you land on. You actually land rolling uphill. It's pretty interesting. You'll see more than you'll ever need to see on the landing at Lukla in just a few minutes. But you have weight restrictions, and we paid some overage so people could have all of their lenses with them and everything. John Farah.
John Farah.
And there's Jeff. But everyone had to consolidate their stuff into just to fall within those weight restrictions. And so for me, it was a late night with all the extra gear that I had for the group. And then we finally made it to the airport.
This is exciting.
Yeah, that was an exciting day.
This is super exciting.
Yeah,
I love small planes. I love the bumpy rides. It's good. And I'm really excited about the approach to Lukla. I heard a few people they were a bit anxious about this whole thing, but I'm totally looking forward to that. I hope I get a place pretty close to the pilots and up the front so I can see out of the front window. And I've seen on YouTube, I've seen videos where they left the doors open, the cockpit door, and you can actually look through the front window and see the approach. And it's gonna be exciting. I love wild rides.
Who are we going to eat first if we crash?
What? Who are you going to eat first if we crash?
We're just joking about how they're fueling enough. They're like, all right, we're at least safe. We're not going to run out of gas and crash in the Himalayas. But if we do, we'll do the Alive thing. You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. You know, they just,
Who's first?
I think they just made a documentary interviewing, I think it was 30 years later, interviewing all the survivors.
Oh, is that right? I've seen about that. I haven't got to see it yet.
Interesting conversation before getting on the plane.
So what are you guys thinking right now?
Oh, I'm crazy excited. It's just very surreal to be here, knowing that we're flying to Lukla. You know, after watching the podcast and reading about Everest and the Everest region, it's just very exciting to looking at a Yeti Airlines plane. You know, it's great. Yeah.
What about you, John?
Just really excited and really anxious to get on the way. Looking forward to my first opportunity to finally see Everest with my own eyes instead of through a camera. So that's what I'm most excited about. So.
Tell me about it, Jeff. What do you think?
Well, didn't think it was going to happen when I first listened to your podcast, and I thought, oh my God, am I too late to sign up for this or not? Lo and behold, I could get in. I was able to get in by knowing how to use the refresh key at 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time on October 1st. And then I got that phone call from you driving in Chicago, and I still, until the beginning of March, I wasn't 100% certain I was going to make it. A lot of things had to fall into place to do it. And, well, looks like it's going to happen. Looks like it's going to happen, and I'm really excited. Working with you and Chris, learning from you and Chris, it's already been a great experience. It's already been worth the price, and it's going to be even better.
And it won't. Had we negotiated the fee for all of your comments yet, Jeff, or was that only a couple weeks later when we negotiated the $10 per positive comment?
They're from the heart. Come on.
Yeah, you edited all this money exchange out there.
Yeah. Luckily, it was all in rupees.
Mm-hmm.
I really meant what I said. I really meant what I said, and I still mean it. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and that day in particular was absolutely exciting.
I think it's funny. It's funny watching this footage. There's Tilo. That was Kyle just ahead of him. You see a Mohawk, that's Kyle. But it's funny seeing all this group because, I didn't know you guys back then. Really, I knew just a few of you and just casual, very on the surface. And I'm watching this footage now and having like you guys on the commentary here. I know all of you guys really well now, and it's just pretty amazing to see how this is all how it started.
Here are our Nepali friends, Sanam, Karma, and Babu. Yeah, Babu didn't come with us on the trek, but Sonam and Karma did. This was really exciting.
The sound, I can remember the sound.
The small airplane.
And the smell.
This is a small airplane.
Yeah, it is a very small airplane.
And we had to get in there with our backpacks. That was awesome. Really tightly packed in there.
And there's no aisle. The aisle disappears gets filled with a seat once everyone has loaded in. So, and I think everyone kind of gives Lukla the notice because I think a year earlier one of these flights had crashed.
Oh yes,
and got some worldwide attention.
Yeah, my mother was a bit worried when she heard about that. Isn't that the airport you are going to fly in?
You know, I wasn't worried at all because there's so many flights every day, and these are some of the best pilots, like bush pilots in the world, and they know exactly what they're doing. But accidents do happen. But with the number of flights, the risk is extremely low. Flying into Lukla.
I think they actually I read somewhere in high season they do up to 50 flights a day.
Yes, yeah.
Which is yeah, well, when you see that airport, the turnaround time is incredibly short.
Yeah, and you'll see it, and the runway itself is only what about
it's also
10 yards
short.
long, 10 meters maybe.
No, it's
right out the edge of a cliff.
400 meters, yeah.
400 or 500 meters, somewhere in that range, which is like 1,500 feet.
And I believe my friend Gordon, another viewer who actually was out, did the same trek and left about a week before we arrived. Really wished I had seen him. He's from Scotland. He reminded me that on Facebook last night, it's about a 12% grade uphill as you land.
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique experience, and we tried to cover it from all the angles, and I think I said on a Twitter update I put out last night as I was editing this that I'm hoping this will be the Lukla landing video by which all others will be judged.
The gold standard.
The gold standard. I know that Chris, you and I were talking about that. We should definitely try. So you'll see the landing. You'll see what it looks like. It's impressive. You know, you're just landing in an airplane. I mean, who really cares? But the runway just comes up out of nowhere. Suddenly, you know, you're 1,000 feet off the ground. Next thing you know, you're on a runway, and you haven't descended in altitude. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, look at the stewardess. I still wonder why she was actually on the plane. Must be some legal.
Well, she handed out all the cotton balls and the candy. Yeah, so you could try to pop your ears a little bit. She was so
relaxed, yeah.
So relaxed.
She greeted everyone. Maybe she's there to make everyone feel relaxed because she's doing her Sudokus.
The airplanes are definitely well used. The windows are a little bit difficult to see out of.
And the airplanes are actually made for short runways. Those are I think a Twin Otter.
Yeah.
And they are specifically constructed to be used for short runways. So seeing that, I was less worried. I wasn't actually really worried.
Short takeoff and landing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is Chris filming. And we'll cut to several different angles here. The closer view of the controls and out the front window is Steve Wolf's little point and shoot. And if you look out you see a shot out the window, that's going to be me, and we kind of just jump back and forth between them. But this is the whole landing here, and I know so many people wanted to see this, so here you go.
Oh yeah, the approach.
So you're way off the ground, and then suddenly there's the runway, and it looks like I edited this all but in time. That's really about how you're way off the ground, and then the runway just comes up out of nowhere. And you can see how short the runway is, and then suddenly you make a very abrupt 90-degree turn to the right before hitting into the airport tower if you were to keep going forward. I was not expecting that turn to the right, so it was pretty amazing. And then you come to the tarmac there, and you suddenly unload, and the next group gets on the plane to go home. So yeah, it's very efficient.
And that whole turnaround process takes about 5 minutes.
Yes. So it was very quick.
I was actually trying to take some photos and lollygag a little bit, but I got shoot along very quickly with the officials.
Yeah, the officials with the guns.
Men's with guns with the whistles show up, yes, and push you along.
Yes, and the whistles.
Needless to say, I listened to them.
And then the first glimpse of this amazing landscape.
Yeah, this was one of the highlights for me, this getting off the airplane and seeing those mountains for the first time. It was amazing.
Let's see that again.
Yeah, okay, so here's all the different views in real time.
Awesome.
So this is, I don't think anyone's done this before. If they have, I haven't seen it. But so this is in real time, so you can see really what it looks like from a bunch of different views. You can pick your view, watch it several times.
This is awesome.
I love that.
Oh, nice.
Great.
And it just comes out of nowhere.
John did it again. This is the gold standard. Absolutely. I like it.
And then you make that 90-degree turn. Swoosh. Right around. And you'll see coming up, that's about all there is of that there. But you'll see us get off the plane, and then you'll see the next group coming out, and you'll see just how quick this is. Because again, they can't carry a huge amount of luggage in these planes anyway.
So they're taking out our duffels to the back door.
There's Karma, our Sirdar.
Oh yeah, right. While we're there, the next plane is already starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rev up their engines to get their maximum.
Yeah, kind of like on an aircraft carrier almost, you know.
Yeah.
It's about the same length, isn't it?
Start downhill, and then
and then suddenly you're 1,000 feet off the ground. As soon as you leave the runway, you're 1,000 feet off the ground.
It's so cool. Yeah, big pile of duffels.
This is all very hurried here, and a lot of sporadic camera work. But yeah, we're really herded around here very quickly. Here's the next group's luggage already being brought out and loaded on the plane.
Oh, there's one of the herders.
Yep.
This whistle.
There's Kyle.
Hurry up, Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle's walking.
Keep going. don't stop.
John, don't go down, John.
Monica's like, geez, I just want to take a look at that mountain. Ma'am, you can watch that mountain on your own time.
Mountain's not going anywhere. Get the hell off my runway.
A second plane already taking off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we saw as much as 3 airplanes there at the same time.
And someone grabbed my pack and left it down there. I thought they were going to bring it with them, but...
Our spine surgeon.
We made it.
Excited.
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, the officials were like, oh my god, a group of photographers. Great. That's all we need.
There he is, shooing me.
Yep, shoving you forward. There's Andy Wolf.
All smiles.
He looks happy.
Mm-hmm.
There's Steve. Steve Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the Steves. Steves and Johns.
I looked a lot of this footage in because it's just very chaotic. You don't really know where you're going or anything, but what I find is really interesting is if you're able to look at the faces of the locals, you'll notice a real change in the look of people. And that's because we're not in the Kathmandu Valley anymore. We are in in the foothills. We're coming into the Khumbu region, which is the land of the Sherpa people, and so everyone starts to look. The Sherpa people have sort of a distinct look to them, and
unbelievable.
I'm so happy to be there.
And we've only just begun.
So you see all these Sherpas all waiting for their groups to get off the plane.
I was kind of amazed that all our duffels came with us and everything. I mean, we were so hurriedly, kind of sent off this runway. I was like, okay, let's just trust in that everything's gonna be all right.
I can already feel the altitude a little bit.
That's the famous Jeff's mobile pharmacy right there. that bag will make many appearances.
I had so many drugs in that bag. Bandages and things.
Hashish.
No
lots
hashish.
of marijuana.
No hashish.
Tiger Balm.
Yeah, Tiger Balm. There might have been some Tiger Balm.
Well, I can already feel the difference walking up the stairs. Yeah, it's only going to get worse.
What they're doing here is they're herding us up and around basically the end of the runway. So you get off the plane, then you have to do this. It's like a big U to get around the airport tower and then onto the other side of the runway where you actually start walking from.
Was there an actual tower?
Yeah,
A
you'll see
video of a
it.
video.
Mm-hmm. It's not tall.
Everybody's gone by.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get off on the south side, walk around the east side, and then go to the north side. I think the tower's on the north side. It's not right at the end of the runway.
Andy, look your left.
But here's where you can watch the planes land, and where we did film some of that from. You do get a very good view, even though there's this big chain link fence there.
Next one coming in.
But you do have these wonderful mountain vistas all around you. And yeah, you also have the first run-ins with some of the different porters carrying enormous loads on their backs. These guys are typically very small, and they carry 2 to 3 times their body weight happily uphill.
Yeah.
And we're at about 3,000 meters here, about 9,000, just over 9,000 feet, 9,400 feet, I think. So you start off quite a bit higher than Kathmandu, which is only about 1,000 meters, about just over 3,000 feet in the valley there.
Well, I'm proud of you.
And then on the first day, they lure you into the false sense of safety that it's only going to go up downhill.
Yeah, the first day, the first half day, you only walk a half day the first day, and it's all downhill.
And I always had in the back of my mind that we gotta walk all that up again.
Yeah, the last day is all going to be uphill. Great. But this is actually the hotel we ended up staying the night at when we came back through. It's well, you also get these STD/ISD available here. I always like that. So STDs available here. But that just means internet.
For the non-Americans needs translation.
Oh, STD, sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah, in this context, I think it means phone service.
Yeah, it means standard phone service, and ISD is actually, they've shortened ISDN, is what they actually mean. So it means internet, telephone and internet available there.
So but this is our first encounter with the cups.
Yep, with the stainless steel cups of tea.
Export quality.
But I can figure it out. 2.54 centimeters.
And this is just classically part of the region. Tea and in these cups, whether you're climbing a mountain or whether you're trekking to a mountain, it's part of the experience. It's
and lots of sugar.
Yeah, I like to fortify my tea.
But watching footage of like other expeditions, Everest expeditions, people trekking around here, now I always notice like these metal cups in all of them. Like, I recognize those.
And the tea, dip.
And the tea,
dip tea. Yeah.
Lukla, we just made the flight up to this very exciting airport. It's 9:11 in the morning, and just want to leave a quick note that we're still having some issues with our satellite phone gear, so we'll hopefully have that running up pretty soon. This is a call from the airport. We have GSM coverage here. From a photography point of view, we have lots of cameras here on the table, just getting some welcome tea. Guys, let's hear some noise. Yay! You heard them. The group is ready, everyone's packed, everyone's got their sunglasses on, and the cameras with lots of light up here. So from a photography point of view, we're probably going to see a lot of small apertures unless people have brought their ND filters with them to do something about that. So that's it for a quick dispatch, and signing off for the day. Happy shooting.
Namaste.
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 I wish everyone a small aperture. You'll know what that means later on.
That was
some of the apertures, you don't have so much control over them.
Explain this to the girls. Now, if only this thing worked. If only this thing
there's
worked.
the sat phone. Yeah, it doesn't work for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get that
we'll hear more about that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we did everything. We sent out emails and voicemails and angry. No, they were not really angry. They were just kind of with a bit of slightly panicked undertone. Yeah. That's what it is. This thing looks weird, but it's a satellite phone.
It looks like an old GSM.
No, it's not.
Very good cell service in Lukla.
And if you look very
that's how I sent in the dispatch. That was an actual phone call using GSM.
Both of them. To share the work. Okay, let's have some tea. Cheers.
And I guess they now have pretty good coverage in the whole region.
Look at Steve.
Yeah, that's definitely something I noticed in 2007 was the really huge prevalence of cell phones throughout on both sides of Everest.
It's me. Can you hear me?
We had a lot of iPhones on this trip.
That's Brat. We call him Brat. He's playing the flute. We're at Lukla. We've landed. We're at
Brat Wolf.
So 9,400.
He calls himself Brat. Let's be more clear about that.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if we're gonna. I mean, we had a 4-bar GSM cell phone service here in Lukla. So I don't know what we're gonna get further up the mountain. So we'll find out.
Nothing.
Next couple days though, pretty good.
For a few days we had reception.
So everyone's kind of like, all right. So what's it look like when you start a trek to Mount Everest? And so this is really what it looks like. After you've had your tea, you just start walking, and before long you realize you're not walking the right direction at all. So you have to turn around in a different direction.
I remember that.
Like, yeah, this is heading to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's
this is
right.
heading to the outhouse.
Through here.
We have to do this over again. We're going up.
Do we have to do this over again? Yeah. Turn around. So all right. So there's the airport tower in the background there. You can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the official start, heading through the streets of Lukla. And
passing the Starbucks, the pseudo Starbucks.
I don't think I got any shots of the Starbucks here. We'll see lots of the Starbucks 2 weeks later.
Okay. Good.
2 weeks later in time in the trek, but it'll be months from now.
And it's definitely a real Starbucks, right?
I'm sure.
I've got the mug.
Yeah,
they're licensed.
So Steve has the officially licensed.
So beautiful.
Yeah, the Lukla Starbucks mug. Yeah.
John Farah.
I love John. John was
See
so
my
great.
shoes.
So we are actually on the trek now. We're not going to see a whole lot today, but you walk through the streets of Lukla and you realize that you're getting into the rural area of Nepal, and lots of chickens around. But also you can hear the bells in the background.
That's from the prayer mills.
Yep, there are a lot of prayer wheels all over the place. Because it is very Buddhist there,
big
and
one.
so this was one of the first instances of these large, person-sized prayer wheels that we come across, and everything's very ornate. Everything's just really beautiful, except for my camera work. But there's all these murals, and just I love all the murals. I love all the details, and
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
All those ears are long. I guess that's the Buddhist thing.
yeah, lots of lobe in the Himalayas on the paintings. But this is us getting up right to the edge of Lukla, and every town you pass through a gate that has basically the name of the town on it to say that you're entering or leaving that town. There's usually prayer flags all over, and there's the gate into Lukla. And actually, I didn't get any shots of it this time on the way out, but there is a statue in that gate, and it is a woman, and I believe it is the first Sherpa woman to ever summit Everest. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong there, or if you remember something different, but...
No, I think you're right there, John.
Yeah, and so, Everest is everywhere. out here, and it's a huge part of the economy, if not the major part of the economy. So it's very important, and we'll really get into it next week. Everything from here on out will all be the trek, and next week we will get to spend the night, our first night on the ground, which is always, I always think the hardest night is the first night, and the first night on the ground, and then the first night back in a bed after you've been camping for a while. And just had a beautiful, 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 beautiful morning that first morning. So look forward to showing everyone that. And then we really get into it, and we will get to meet our Sherpa staff in its entirety next week. Had a nice introduction with everyone, and we had a larger staff than we had trekkers, clients in this group. So we had a lot of people taking care of us, and they took very good care of us. So thank you guys for taking good care of this commentary. Really appreciate it. Nice having all of you along.
Oh, thank you for putting it together.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be here, John.
And sure, hope many of you can join us next week for the commentary. We might switch it up a little bit. Try to see how many people we can support on a Skype call. We've been doing pretty well so far, but might reach too many people and need to scale it back. There might be too many people talking at once, but I want to get as many people in the commentary as possible, because this really was your trip, and this is part of the reason you come along on these workshops with us, is because it doesn't end when you all get home from the workshop. We relive it for months and months at a time afterwards. So thanks a lot, everyone, and we will join next week with more of the trek. So see you then. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every day, and watching the show has become a part of many people's weekly routine. The show will always be free to download, but it's by no means free to produce. Please help me cover my costs by making a small monthly or one-time donation from the right sidebar on my website, and in return I'll give you some cool bonus materials. A donation of any amount will grant you access to some interesting video content, including high-definition versions of several podcast episodes. A one-time donation of $25 or more, or any of the monthly donation options, will additionally grant you access to a downloadable version of the film Everest the Other Side, which episodes 1 to 61 are based on. I really cannot express how vital these donations are, and if you've made a donation, thank you so much. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywoo.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.
Surprise.